What if it rained food? What if Earth was a cube? What if we had 9 lives? What if bits could fly? It's absurd. If money grew on trees, if we didn't have knees, if we walked through life slightly magnetical, it's absurd. Absurd Hypotheticals.
Hello everybody and welcome to Absurd Hypotheticals, the show we overthink dumb questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Marcus Lehner, and I'm joined here today by Chris Yee and Ben Storms. Say hi, guys.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Ben.
Guys, we're going back to our roots today. This is almost like our very first question we ever answered, which was, what if you got 1 inch taller every month?
We're getting more specific now, though.
Yeah, we've honed in on what makes a good podcast, and we found out that it's the arms. So
Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters at all. So, in light of that revelation, that wonderful epiphany, our question this week is, of course, what if your arms got 1 inch longer every month? We're going to say this starts at our current ages. So, I'm 28. We're all about the same. I'm not sure if you guys are all actually still 28. Did you have birthdays that I missed?
I'm still 28.
I'm 29. I had my birthday over a hiatus. The day that Ben got married.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I remember that now.
Did I wish you a happy birthday? I think I did. I'm a good friend.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Anyhow, so starting now, so you grow up normally. I was talking about it with one of my friends, and she was like, so if you start when you're, conceived, your arms are going to be longer than you are when you're born. And I'm like, oh God, no, we're gonna start it.
We're gonna start it at our age.
We're gonna start once you're an adult, so you can deal with some of it. Anyhow, so your arms get 1 inch longer every month. Only the length of your arm is going to increase. Your arms are going to stay like kind of the same amount of skinny. They're not going to get like super. They're not going to scale up in all dimensions.
Right.
And your hands at the end of your arms are going to stay the same. You're going to have little hands.
Which is a much funnier image to me.
I hate this. I hate it so much. I hate this image.
Okay, Ben, you hate the tiny hands image, but do you want the long hands image?
I was imagining that too, and
both
that's
are bad.
Probably worse.
I was gonna say the hands should stay proportional, and then I imagined what like a 5-foot hand, but
long,
also
spindly arm or spindly hand fingers.
It's not as much the tiny hands as the very long skinny arms are just like very, like glitch in a video game in my mind. I'm not happy about it. I had to spend a week thinking about this. I'm going to make the listeners do it too.
We also said that it's proportional. So like your upper arm and your forearm, they grow at the same rate. So your elbow stays in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your elbow stays in the middle, which is... Sorry, I got this mental image for the first time. It's a really long straight arm and then just like a tiny little forearm hand at the end.
It's so bad. I hate it.
Well, Ben, since you hate it so much, tell us about your answer.
All right, so I sort of did some sort of like general what life is like with this, sort of stuff. And the first thing I want to figure out...
Is it good?
No, it's not.
Is it good?
It's clearly not. I'm going to go ahead and I'll get to that eventually. But the first thing I want to figure out actually was just, when do you realize this is happening? Because like at first I was thinking it was actually going to be kind of hard to realize this. And there's one very like clear thing that'll trigger it, which is, do you wear long sleeve shirts?
So you'll realize it in the winter.
well, no. So like I wear long sleeve shirts to work every day, and I'm pretty sure that if this started happening to me, I would realize literally in like the first month, because I would have just this extra wrist coming out of the end of my sleeve. I'm pretty sure I would notice that, like, because I had that comparison point right there.
All right, let's say 2 months. I think the first month, like, are my shirts shrinking? I gotta check my detergent.
But it will be all of it. I think it will be, because it will be all of them. I think I would actually realize pretty quickly. But
do you wash your shirts with different detergents, Ben? Are you a fancy lad?
I don't. This is true, Marcus. You're right. But I want to figure out, if you don't wear long sleeves, say that you like, it starts in late spring and you don't wear them to work, or you just live in like San Diego or something where it's always nice.
Yeah, I don't really wear long sleeves to work in the summer. So
all right, so yeah, so say it happens to you, Chris. I'm trying to figure out when is the first time you would actually realize. And I'm trying to figure out things that like I would notice if suddenly my arms were longer. I was like tying my shoes, maybe there's like a foot difference there, and I would definitely notice just normally before then. So it's not that. I thought about like touching my ceiling when I just like reached up if I like yawned or something. But there's still like with my ceilings, they're pretty low, and I still have like a 6-inch gap there. So like maybe, but I think I noticed it before then. And I finally realized what it would 100% be is everyone has something in their life that they have to stand just a little bit on their toes to reach, like up high. And for me, it's like I have a couple pans on top of my cupboards in my kitchen. I have to like, lean just a little bit up to get to. It's like 2 inches up maybe. I'm pretty sure that when I could just suddenly reach up and grab them, I would 100% know something was going on.
You're not going to think that you just grew some more? You had a growth, second growth spurt or something?
I mean, I don't. Well,
I would think
like,
that first before I thought my arms were growing.
Well, but then like I'd measure myself and I wouldn't have
Yeah, I guess so.
So I think that's sort of the indicator where you would realize it definitely is. Whatever that thing is in your life that you have to just strain a little bit to get to, you'd suddenly wouldn't, and it would be weird.
Do you think you'd start getting clumsy, where like you're used to your arms being this exact length all the time, and then suddenly you're just like knocking shit over like all the time?
I thought about that, and I thought about like if like you'd sit down at your computer and then suddenly your elbows would be further back because your arms were longer, and you'd get weirded out. But I don't know if I would notice that before I would notice the reaching thing. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe if you had something that you like, I don't know.
There's no way for us to test this.
Right, yeah, exactly. There's no way to actually tell.
We cannot scientifically determine when you would notice first.
Yeah. So, some more daily life stuff. So, one, clothing. Usually in these questions, we always talk about how you have to like, get custom clothing or something. You technically actually don't have to with this one, which is really upsetting. Really, all clothes will still fit you. It's just that your arms will stick way out from them, which is hilarious.
Yeah, they're all just vests now.
Yeah. So like I think that you probably wind up wearing a lot of like sleeveless shirts just to make it less obvious that you have freakishly long arms.
You get cold, right?
Well, yeah, you'll get cold. Well, and then so the other thing is that, you can't really wear jackets to keep yourself dry anymore, so you have to use an umbrella. And I started asking myself, wait, when can you stop using an umbrella? Like, when can you no longer use an umbrella? Because at a certain point, you can't hold an umbrella and have it be over your head still, right? And still be useful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's gonna be too high, and the water and now you're like blocking water for someone who's 3 feet above you.
Right, exactly.
Or to get like the right angle, you have to like jet out your elbow, and your elbow would be getting wet.
So what I figured is that the point where an umbrella is no longer fully effective is when, as long as you can hold your arm straight down and not have it hit the ground, you can hold it above you, right? That's basically it. So for me, my arms are about 23 inches long, and there's 12 inches from the shoulder to the elbow. And I measured that there's a 42-inch gap from my elbow to the floor right now. So once my upper arm is 54 inches long, I can't use an umbrella anymore. And that would get me to the age of roughly 35. I guess after that, I'm just going to get wet.
Did you have Shanta help you measure? Or
yes.
Did you just do it? Yes, you did.
Yes, on the link from my elbow to the floor. I got my arm myself. That one I did. I could not figure out the other one.
I did because spoilers, I also measured my whole body. I think we all did.
Yeah.
So I like just coyly went into the living room, and I'm like, hey, where's our tape measure? And she's like, over there. Why? And I'm like, no reason. And then I went into the bedroom and just like closed the door and then did all the weird measuring so she wouldn't judge me.
I think there's implications if you take a tape measure out of the bedroom and close the door, but I'm just gonna move on past that.
23 inches.
You told us that you had like an urge to measure your arms at work, and you're like, I'm not going to do that.
Well, I was working on. I was doing a little research on my lunch break, and I wanted to kind of see where like my starting point, and started like doing out the little spreadsheets to see like the different ages, how long my arms would be, and I needed my starting point, and I'm like, man, are my arms like 3 feet long, 2 feet long, 2.5? 1? Like
Yeah, if I had to guess without measuring, I probably would say either 2 or 3 feet. 3 feet seems like long.
Yeah, 3 feet
like really
would
long
definitely
now.
be too long,
but somewhere between 2 and 3 feet.
I think what would have gotten me is like, I know I have I have a square body. You ever do like the in class where you measure if people are square, rectangular, if you stick your arms out?
Oh yeah.
And I knew I was a square boy. So I know I'm 6 feet tall, and then I have my arms on either side, and then I have like my shoulder to shoulder is like, whatever that distance is. I'm like, it's gonna be about like 2.5 feet. I didn't expect how long my hands were. Like, again, so it's like you said 23 inches. I got like 2 feet, once I rounded up a little bit. And so I was like a foot for the 2 arm sections. And then from like the wrist to the fingertip was like 7.5, which is like more than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's weird that your hand is like a quarter of your arm length, right?
A quarter?
It doesn't seem right.
Whoa. I'm looking at my hand right now. That does not sound right. Yeah.
And yet,
I look a lot at my arms.
I'm now measuring my arm using my hand. This is all great podcast right now. We should probably move on.
My arm is 4 hands long.
So moving on. The other thing, one of the things I thought about was and I don't really have a solution on this one, but driving is not going to work at some point. I don't know exactly when, because it's a complicated problem, but like at a certain point, you just got too much arm in there to. I was trying to figure out how you could like fit yourself in and still hold the wheel as necessary, but at a certain point, it's just not going to work.
You could sit in the passenger's seat and reach over.
Well, no, because the problem is your legs aren't any longer or anything.
Yeah, then you can't.
That's the problem.
Push the
is that
pedals. You can have someone
really...
else push the pedals. I don't know why they wouldn't be driving instead.
That seems like a much better solution.
I mean, I think the solution is you have somebody else drive the vehicle. You Uber everywhere, but at a certain point, you're not going to be able to fit in the car either, right?
Right. At a certain point, so I guess when your arms are, let's see, when a single section of your arm, how long is a car? I actually didn't think about this at the time. So let's say like from the front, like the dashboard to the back seat is what?
You're gonna go long ways. So you're gonna have to like sit sideways the whole time.
Well, I figure you can if you like pull your elbows into the back like of the seat and then put your arms through the middle of the front seats to where your hands are like resting on the dashboard. That's your best option. And it looks hilarious in my mind.
My mind went to open the windows and wrap them over the roof.
Bonded yourself to the
Wait, no.
What if you stick your arms straight? What if you just stick your arms straight up and you don't drive under any low-hanging bridges?
Well, so the problem is though, because you don't have enough flexibility, because your upper arm is still just a straight bone.
You
right?
only have one joint.
So at a certain point, you're still gonna have like if you go by a truck, your arm's gonna come off, right? Like.
Yeah, so you don't drive on those roads. You have to take the the truckways. You can check the height requirements on highways.
Like I feel like you're still gonna be at risk of stop signs and stuff though.
Oh, you're at risk. You are at risk. No jokes there.
Get a limo.
So I guess if you figure if you can keep them inside the car and get them like 8 feet forwards, you can last until you're like in your 40s. Maybe with a limo you can get, I don't know, 15 feet, 20 feet. I don't know how long a limo is. 20 feet gets you to 65, which is retirement age. You don't have to go to work anymore. So maybe a limo is the answer. I guess we found it, guys. But driving sucks. It's going to not work after a while. Anyway, point being, when you actually like, the other thing I really ran into that was a very real problem was using a computer is a very difficult task now, because and this is something that kept coming up in my mind is your eyesight isn't any better. So even though you can reach things far away, if you have to like manipulate them, you can't really see what you're doing. So to use a computer, you still need a screen next to you, but once your arms get long, you can't use a mouse and keyboard next to you.
What if they're wireless, Ben?
So that's what you have to do, is you have to get a wireless mouse and keyboard. But then if you're, say you're at work, your work environment is now you're in one cube with a monitor in front of you, and then 20 feet in front of you is another cube with a wireless mouse and keyboard in it, and your arms just stretching across that distance.
So would you have an elevated cubicle so that now your arms are kind of like overhead pipes? Just running, and like the intern cubicles are the ones that are like under your arms.
So I don't think you can do that because, well, I guess, yeah. Well, no, because it still wouldn't. Yeah, I guess that's what you have to do. Yeah, that would work, and then your arm is supported all the way across.
There's the steam pipe, the air conditioning duct, and then Ben's arms.
Yeah,
and the other plumbing pipe.
You do actually hit an issue, which is that when you get to be about 56 years old, your arms are roughly 30 feet long, and that's about the range of wireless keyboards and mice.
Uh-oh.
So, fortunately, there is actually a very boring solution to this, which is you can get one of those USB extender cables and just plug the like dongle into that, and then you're good. So it's actually not bad.
Damn it, technology.
I know. I was really sad that there was an easy solution.
Maybe just I would prefer to tape a signal repeater to my elbow.
That's also hilarious. So you could, in order to get to like retirement age, you only need like 38 feet. So it works. It works out. But I did want to come up with a better like career plan to actually take advantage of your long arms, because we needed something aside from just, yeah, you can keep working your, office job. So last time when we got really tall, I broke basketball. I didn't want to just do that again because, I already did that once.
Even though that's the obvious choice.
Right. So this time I'm going to break football instead. So
Yay!
So the thing that I realized is that, and like the first thought I had with this is that in football, to score a touchdown, all you have to do is break like the plane of the end zone with the football, right? So that's why, if someone, is trying to score a touchdown, you can like dive across, and as soon as it breaks the plane, you score a touchdown. So if you can just get the ball in your hands and then move your arm into the end zone, you score a touchdown. So that's already pretty good, because once your arm is, 30 feet long, once you're at the 10-yard line, you pretty much just take the snap and move your arm over and you score, which is really good. But then I realized that also when you are down, whether you just, kneel down or whatever, or get tackled, the ball was spotted wherever it is where you're holding it. So I realized that once your arms are, roughly 10 yards long, which would be at around, 56, basically what you can do is just stand to like the far side of the field, take the snap, swivel, and kneel down and get a first down.
Hey!
And suddenly you are just an unstoppable offensive machine.
So
Your team has to block for
the whole game
like...
is just passing off the ball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like handing it over, and then that's it.
I feel inclined here for my non-football listeners to explain what a first down is real quick.
Yeah, that's...
So football, you want to go from one end to the other end, and when you get all the other end, it's a touchdown. It's all good. Everybody's happy. Everyone cheers. You get a bunch of tries. You get 4 tries. Those are what they call downs. If you make it from where you start and you make it 10 yards forward, you restart your try counter back to 1. So you get 4 tries, and you just have to make it 10 yards in those 4 tries. It sounds really easy, and I don't know why football teams don't do it more often, but that's what they have to do.
It's because there's like 260-pound men who don't want you to go that far. That's the main reason. Which is usually a pretty good incentive to not do something personally. So there are some small issues, and like you can get the ball knocked out of your hands before you kneel down, I guess, but then you just keep it high. I don't know. You can make it work. Pretty much, eventually you just break football and suddenly no one wants to play with you anymore. But people will pay you a lot of money because you can score literally every time you take the field. So, it's not bad. Not a bad way to make a living. So I guess that's my plan overall, is your life is going to be really, really annoying a lot of the time. But once your arms are, let's say, 5 yards long, you're probably going to get paid just a very large number of millions of dollars to play football. So
I'm sad you didn't choose boxing.
I don't think it would work very well, though. Is that even a benefit?
Can you
range.
sweep someone out of bounds in boxing? Is that a win?
You can hit them, they can't hit you.
I guess that's true, but I guess the problem is it takes your fist a long time to move to them because it's far away. And they're going to be able to move out of the way very easily.
You can jab, I think. You'd be able to jab.
I guess. I don't know. I guess that's... Regardless, I went with football. Maybe boxing is like until your arms get stupid long, that's kind of like your gap sports breaking, but... Yeah,
if you got like 3-foot arms, like 4-foot arms, you're going to be... Boxing is very appealing because you just have so much more range.
I feel like at some point someone's gonna slip past your arms and you just can't you're stuck with them between your arms and you can't do anything about it.
Get them away from you.
Then I don't know the rules of boxing, so I can't provide the same commentary I did for football, but I think you just hug and then they let you go back to the corners.
Can you hug a person anymore?
Oh,
I don't think you can. I think
your
your arms...
a lot of people.
Why not? Why can't you hug a person?
It's not can you hug a person, it's how many people can you hug.
That's true. Yeah. Well, so the problem, Chris, is that because
your elbows far away from you.
Yeah, your elbows, you can't get your arms. I guess you just
can
sort of
squeeze them with your upper arms.
Yeah, you just.
I'm gonna take over here.
You should take over.
Yes, because
Please do.
what I want to into is kind of the range of motion problem that we're alluding to right here. So if you guys want to do it with me right now, you take your arm, you stick it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which direction?
Wait, yeah, which direction?
Out towards your sides.
Towards your sides, okay.
Okay.
With your palms up.
Yep.
Palms up. That's not what I was doing, but okay.
Now, close your elbow as much as you can.
Close my elbow.
Okay.
Like just bend your elbow as much as you can.
Doing a good old strongman flex.
Yeah, strongman flex. So this is your elbow flexion, they call it, or flexion. I think it's flexion. That makes more sense to me. And so the average range for a person is that you can bend your elbow 150 degrees back towards you.
Don't have a protractor.
I only just stopped flexing. I feel like I could have stopped earlier than that.
I'm still holding it. I'm trying to figure out the angle. I'm looking at it.
So the Washington State Department of Health has said 150 degrees, which means you have a 30-degree angle off the horizontal that your forearm is sticking up from your upper arm. So through some basic trigonometry, which is actually the most basic trigonometry because it's just sine of 30, which is a half, there's assumedly a dead zone of about 6 inches around your own shoulder that you can't reach. Of course, I imagine a lot of you out there doing this right now is like, Marcus, I'm touching my shoulder right now, you idiot.
I literally just touched my shoulder.
Yeah, I did too.
Or that you say the distance is less than 6 inches. But you can't touch your shoulder with your wrist. And you have to kind of count the distance from like your shoulder joint to your wrist joint, because very quickly the thickness of your arm becomes irrelevant in the calculations. So there is this gap between your shoulder and your wrist joint. It starts out mine's about 5 or 6 inches, which makes sense, and that the math checks out when I do my complicated sine 30 math. So it's not a big, our body functions because in addition to our wrist, we have our hands. So our hands cover this, this gap that we can't reach. We can touch our own shoulder. We can do all we need to do with our hands. But as your arm gets longer, your triangle gets bigger, and the gap is going to increase from your shoulder joint to your wrist. And so in just 2 short years, your hand is no longer going to be able to reach your shoulder anymore. But not a big deal, because how often do you really need to touch your shoulders? And you can still use your other arm to touch your shoulder at that point. But that dead zone is going to keep growing. My face, for example, is a little over a foot away from my shoulders. So if I maneuver my arms, I have no problem touching my face with my wrist or anything. But eventually that dead zone is going to grow towards the left of the wrist. So like on my right arm, grows to the left, and my head is eventually going to be in that dead zone. So after about 6 years, when I'm 34, I'm going to have a 2-foot dead zone around each of my shoulders that my hands can no longer reach. So at 34, I can no longer touch my own face with my hands.
That happened a lot faster than I thought it would.
Yeah, me too. And it kind of just goes from there. So by age 40, I can't reach anything above my knees. And by age 50, I literally can't touch myself with my hands. So this sucks. But we are smart human beings. We are not without options. So I think the first one, and quite a practical one, I think, is I don't know what the exact official term is, but the best one I could find that was consistent was a reach grabber, which is like one of those little things you get as a toy, like the arm
claw hand thing.
Yeah, claw hand.
Yeah, the claw hand thing. Apparently they're called reach grabbers when you use them for like adult purposes, and like, T-Rex arms when they're for kids.
Yeah, T-Rex arms is a way better name.
Reach grabber is a terrible name.
Yeah.
Yeah, reach grabber is very bad. So as your arms get longer and longer and longer, you can make up for this gap that you have with a reach grabber. And this actually kind of gets you through basically your entire life. The longest reach grabber I found by Grapplers Inc., which is just a cool name for a company, is 16 foot long. Why do they make a 16 foot long reach grabber, you ask? According to their website, we had an interesting request one day from a paper company in Alabama. They had a giant machine that would feed a giant roll of paper into it, but it was extremely difficult to reach the ends of the paper and feed it into the machine. So they called us and asked us if we could make a special long reach grabber just for them. So someone designed a paper machine in Alabama where the the place to feed the paper in was 16 feet off the ground, which is really just like not great design in my head. I think my favorite quote about this long reach grabber, and I'm not going to go into the implications of this right now, but quote, because of its length, it is impossible to pick up anything with one hand in a horizontal position at any angle as a drawback to their 16-foot long reach grabber. So you can like go up to things, but if you have to grab anything horizontal, you literally can't lift it. But that was just a fun quote. So kind of as far as like solutions go, you have your reach grabber. Like it's going to be awkward to like, you know, like brush your teeth for things. It's going to be awkward to like shower. It's going to be just like really bad, actually, now that I think about it. Your bathroom's only so big.
Your everything's only so big. I was thinking for a little bit about, like, how you could sleep, because at a certain point, the room you're in won't be big enough. I think your best option is to, like, literally lie in the middle of the room and fold your arms over yourself, but even still, there's, like, not enough room eventually. I don't know. It's pretty bad.
Open floor concept is kind of your best friend there.
Yeah.
Yeah, have, like, a really high bed and let your arms dangle.
Yeah. I did a little checking out about like indoor spaces too. So one problem you run into is if you are going down a hallway and the hallway has, say, a corner in it that you have to get around. So if you're in a 3-foot hallway, you can't turn anything around that corner that's longer than 6.25 feet long. So luckily you can bend your arms, so like one section of your arm has to be that long, so you can wait till your arms are like 13 feet long, which is going to happen. Oh no, my chart is gone. My chart with all my arm lengths is gone.
No. I have arm lengths.
I have arm lengths as well.
When are your arms 13 feet long, Chris?
13 feet.
39?
40, because I'm 29. Because I'm 29 right now instead of 28. But 40 for me. Okay,
so yeah. So when you're 40, start avoiding those hallways. And when you have 4-foot hallways, anything above 11 feet is also a problem. So you get a little space between 3-foot hallways and 4-foot hallways, which are like more commercial. So like living space hallways is 3 feet, commercials is 4+, sometimes 5, but 4 is, you know, not too uncommon. So you're gonna have to start avoiding like certain sections of the mall and like tight, you know, bookstores and things. You just gotta plan that out. You're just gonna need a lot of like, I guess, floor plans.
Avoid China shops.
Yeah, don't go into any China shops. Also, at a certain point, even though floor plans are very good for you because there's a lot of space between the pages, like there's a lot of gap so you can turn the pages, at a certain point you're going to have a trouble reading those too. So, life is generally bad. You have your reach grabbers to help you. And I think there's one last thing that you can do to help yourself. So, one way I was imagining how this would be in real life, like trying to get a feel for what your motions are going to be like, is if you just stick your arms out straight, this is basically what your upper arms are going to be like, you know, by themselves.
You mean like straight up above you?
No, like just don't keep your elbows straight. Like keep your arms fully extended. And so this will just be like your upper arm portion, and somewhere down after, you know, somewhere in the distance is your elbows. But they can't come back and reach anyway, so they're kind of irrelevant. So you can still not so much touch your face, but you can have your face touch your arm if you like move your arm forward, and you can kind of like rub on your edge of your arm there. So I think you're gonna want to use this space and like develop, I guess, like shoulder tools. Like I imagine you have like a shoulder pad that has like some little gadgets, and you can like a Swiss Army knife almost. You can like pull out a fork and like stick it on the plate in front of you, and then just like turn your head and eat off your shoulder fork. I don't really have any more than that. I just have written shoulder pad with forks on it. That's where far I got with that plan.
That's the only tool you need.
Which I think means I'm done with my answer, because I don't think I can top that at all.
It's a high bar you set.
Chris, what do you got?
So I also looked at a limiting factor that this hypothetical presents, but I didn't look at your range of motion. I looked at the weight of your arms. Because if your arms are getting...
Damn.
Yeah. If your arms are getting bigger, then obviously they're getting heavier and heavier, but the rest of your body is staying the same, so like your ability to lift them, it doesn't really increase that much. So when will this start to be a problem? First, I had to figure out how much an arm actually weighs, and surprisingly, there was a website that actually like they measured the percentage of your body weight that like every single body part weighs.
I have used that website before on this podcast, and I love it.
Oh, you have.
We have found so many fascinating websites.
I don't remember what it was for, but I was like, I just had the same reaction when I saw it, where I'm like, this exists? I love whoever did this.
It was so detailed. But for men, it was 5.7 of your body weight is your arm. That's your arm weight. And for women, it was 4.97. So since I'm a man and I weigh 165 pounds, my arms weigh about 9.5 pounds.
And that is a fact you can take with you to your grave.
Something I didn't ever expect to know. So I also measured my arms, and my arms are actually 22 inches, but I just rounded it up to 2 feet. So that means that my arm weighs 5 pounds per linear foot. If that's like I didn't ever expect to measure the weight of my arms in pounds per linear feet, but here we are.
Is it weird for you to do, because that's like a very much a civil engineering thing, that you're
Applying it
measuring
to
your arms and also like are a civil engineer, and you're like, oh, now I have this in my terms.
Yeah, that's like how we measure like steel beams. Pounds per linear foot.
Check out these steel beams, ladies.
Yeah, so 5 pounds per linear foot. So now I had to figure out like what was the upper limit that our shoulders can lift, because that's basically where all of the weight is going, is to our shoulders. So I looked at different like shoulder exercises, and one that is pretty intensive on the shoulders is the standing press. I think that's what it's called. Overhead standing press.
It's a great exercise. Do it all the time. Anyway.
It's my favorite move of Hulk Hogan's.
It's basically like you have a barbell and it's on your shoulders and you lift it up, like upwards to the sky, and then you bring it back down and you keep on doing that. And the Guinness World Record holder for the most weight lifted by barbells, or the most weight lifted doing the standing press in 1 minute, was by Eamon Keane. So I think this means like the total amount of weight, including like multiple reps. So they said that he lifted 8,818 pounds in 1 minute. So like 40 reps of 220 pounds.
It seems really a disingenuous way to measure it, where it's just like...
It was a weird way to measure it. They also had it within an hour. So I guess there's that too. They didn't have one lift.
Yeah, give me an hour and I can lift 65,000 pounds. It's not really what you're doing, though.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't have a record for just one lift, but they didn't. So I use this. And this is a barbell, so like it's split up between both of our hands, or both of our arms. So that means that each shoulder is lifting 110 pounds. So I figured, okay, this is like the world record holder. So this is my upper limit. I'm going to be generous to me and say that I can achieve this.
Okay. Generous is a generous word for that.
Yeah. Yes. So the age that I won't be able to lift my arms anymore, once my arms get too heavy and they go above 110 pounds, is at age 49. So it's actually a decent amount of my life where I can lift my arms.
Oh. It sounded sad. I don't know why. It's like there's a good amount of time I could lift my arms.
Gotta
I
treasure
don't know.
these moments.
I had a nice long arm lifting life.
Well, it turns out that your shoulder strength actually isn't the limiting factor, because before you hit that, your arms are actually going to get long enough where your elbow hits the ground. So I'm 5'10", like from my feet to the top of my head, I'm 10 feet, or 5'10".
Generous again.
And from my shoulder to the ground is 5 feet. So my elbow will grow to 5 feet and touch the ground when I'm 37 years old. And then at that point, my shoulder isn't supporting the weight anymore because it's just on the ground. Now what is happening is that my forearm is still putting weight on my bicep. My bicep is now doing the lifting if I want to like move around and stuff. So the natural next step was to look at the world record for bicep lifts. And the Guinness World Record for the most weight lifted by arm curl in 1 minute was by the same guy, Eamon Keane. He had like 22 different weightlifting records.
Do you think maybe Guinness World Record was just tired of people saying they were the strongest and going to check them? That they're just like, no, we're gonna in-house the weight records from now on, guys. We just got this Eaton Keane guy. He's pretty strong, so we're just gonna use his records and then just not look at your stuff.
Well, he used to have 26 records, and then 4 of them were broken, so he lost some of them. But he still has 22 right now. But his record for bicep curl or arm curls is what they called them was. In 1 minute, he lifted 7,937 pounds, or 30 reps of 264 pounds. And it was a little unclear whether they didn't list whether it was barbells or dumbbells. I'm going to assume it was barbells because I refuse to believe it's possible to do that with dumbbells.
Okay.
To do 264 pounds per arm. That seems ridiculous to me. I don't know, maybe it's possible.
It is that sounds ridiculous. Like our office got we installed a small gym in our like 5-person office, and right now it just basically has like free weights and like a pull-up bar, and a bench. It's got a bench too, so it's getting fancy. But we got a set of mixed weights for the handheld ones, and it was like a 3-row set that went from like 10 to 80 pounds, and we actually just immediately sent back the 3rd row when we saw it, and we like couldn't even like get them like on the shelf, and we're like, we're not using these, you can just have these back.
Yeah,
which is probably sad for the delivery guy because we're on the 2nd floor and we don't have stairs, so you have to carry them all back down.
I also got weights delivered to me at one point and felt bad for the delivery guy.
Especially because it's just like, oh yeah, it's not even got like a cool heavy thing. Like it's worth it. It's like it's literally just like I bought a thing that's just the only thing going for it is that it's heavy.
Well, when he delivered it to my apartment, it was in a box. It was like really flimsy in the first place. So it was like the box was like falling apart.
Jesus.
But yeah, assuming that what he lifted was a barbell, that means that each bicep could lift 132 pounds. And the weight of my forearm would hit that weight at age 80. So that's actually like pretty far into my life.
It's not bad, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
I lived a good arm lifting life. And I type all my notes into Google Docs. And for that point, I typed in the sentence, my bicep can lift 132 pounds.
Okay.
And Google Docs did the little like grammar underline thing under can. So I right-clicked it, and it said, consider changing to can't.
Wait, what?
So it doesn't think I can lift that much, I guess, which it's right. It is right.
Ooh, the sick burns. Like, we've seen your search history. None of them were gym memberships, so get out of here.
And it's interesting because when I change it to 100, then it works. Then it thinks I can lift 100. It doesn't say there's an error anymore.
Wait, so it's not actually a grammatical error?
It's not a grammatical error. It's you're weak error.
Yeah. Google just finds your statement a little unlikely, Chris.
Yeah.
You have to check out like the setting that's like, do you even lift? And you have to say yes, and then it lets you go higher.
Just to think, someone at Google programmed that.
They must have, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
There's no way they didn't. They had to.
it can't be like a learning algorithm. So like, is there just someone in the Google office who's just like, my bicep can lift 100 pounds, and they're just like, no, it can't, and they just added it to the autocorrect as a joke.
So that was the upper limit of lifting my arms, but I don't actually need to like support my own arms. If I don't like intend to use my arms, obviously I don't want them to drag, but I can just like put them on little wheel things or something and wheel around. Just have like a support on my elbow and then a support on my wrist, and then I'm good, right?
Like a little gym scooter.
Yeah. But the thing is, when I do that, I've created a little arm bridge because it's just a thing spanning over 2 supports. And we were talking about my civil engineering before. I want to look at when your arm would break from the weight of your arm.
Oh, okay. Not looking forward to this mental image, but here we go.
So I found a study where they tested the strength of bone, specifically sheep bone, because it was easy for them to get, and it was like the right properties they wanted. It was like fairly straight instead of all bendy and curvy, so it was easier for them to do tests. And they used a sheep tibia. So basically the test is just, they did a 3-point bending test, which is basically they put a bone on 2 supports and then they push it in the middle and see how much force in the middle it takes before it breaks. And what they found was that the bone had a bending capacity of about 30 foot-pounds of bending moment. It's called moment, that force that it sees.
Continue with the engineering.
I was trying to think of a different way to say it other than moment, because most people don't know what that is, but it's called moment.
Yeah, no, I think this is the part of the podcast where we just kind of talk the engineering through, and it sounds all smart and good, like we know what we're talking about, and then nobody actually checks to call you out on it.
Yeah.
And all the people that do know what moments and all these things are super happy because, like, oh, I know these words.
Right.
But the math is a pain, so I'm not going to think about it because I don't want to follow along with the math either.
So that was the capacity of the bone. Obviously, I think like all the muscle around it and stuff would add a little more capacity. I didn't really bring that into my situation because it's a lot more complex. I didn't want to do that. So I'm saying that the capacity for your arm is 30 foot-pounds of moment. Now, obviously, as your arm grows, that means that the span of your arm is growing from the 2 supports. So like, just imagine a bridge getting longer and longer and longer without any support in the middle. It's obviously more likely to fall down. So the length of your arm where it hits the capacity of what it can hold is 7 feet. So once it hits 7 feet, your bone's going to fracture. And you actually hit this, it's going to be your forearm because you have a support at your elbow and a support at your wrist. So your forearm gets this long at age 41, which is actually pretty early on. It's not good.
No, that's not good. Can I just say I don't like that my arm is like even on, is within a factor of 10 of when it would just break under its own weight.
Right.
Like, it feels real fragile now. Like, even though 7 feet is a lot, like, I imagine if my arm extended to like the end of the room I'm sitting in, that's about 7 feet. And then it would just break under its own weight.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that a lot.
So you can supplement this by just putting more supports. So like where it would break, you just put another support and then it won't break. And if you happen to live until 100, which is unlikely in this scenario with your arm growing this fast, but if you did make it to 100, then you would need 10 supports per arm to prevent your arms from breaking. Or you could just have like a super long skateboard situation thing.
Oh, just support all the way. Just add supports as needed.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you want to actually do something with your arm, if you want to lift your arm, because that 7 foot long thing was if it's just like sitting on the supports. But if you lift your arm, then the bone is essentially taking double the load because you took away one of the supports. So you cut the length in half, and now your forearm can only be 3.5 feet before it breaks, which is not good again.
Not ideal, no.
So if you want to do anything, I think really my final image that I had of me doing stuff with these super long arms is I'm going to ditch the wheel supports and I'm going to hire people to carry my arms. And they'll just like puppet me around, and I can still like pick stuff up with my hand. So I'll just be like, move my hand over to that cup, to that mug. And then I'll grab it and then I'll say, move it to the table or something. And that's how I'll live my life.
As always, Chris, you've managed to pick the most terrible social solution to your problem.
Yeah.
I didn't say that I would clean gutters.
That was an option.
But like you've hired effectively like 37 right-hand men to just carry your arm around.
It's actually 37 right-hand men and 37 left-hand men, technically.
Guys, I just had a great mental image, and I kind of just want to say it before we go into the Would You Rather segment, because it's great and it's in my head, and I want to get it out.
Okay.
So one of the things that was in the back of my mind when we first talked about this question about like your arms getting longer, I kind of imagine like a monkey that how they kind of walk on like all fours, like at the point where your hands hit the ground, And then there'd probably be a point where your arms are so long you could like walk on your hands, which of course, strength-wise, your arms would break and be terrible and it would be bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of abandoned that, and I just hit like the point where I would have loved to have done the math on it. Was what if you had a wheelchair with bigger and bigger and bigger wheels?
Okay.
And because your arms are so long, you can get a lot of speed and momentum on this baby. That would be awesome.
Okay, sure. I'm glad you went with the answer you went with.
Okay, I thought that was good. Maybe I'll do that on the side and just like post a little something about it.
Do it in our behind the scenes.
Oh, I can do it in the behind the scenes.
In
Guys,
our Patreon exclusive episode.
yeah, I'll just do the pitch here. If you enjoy the show, go to www.patreon.com/absurdhypotheticals, where we do a behind-the-scenes episode every month where we talk about the previous month's things we did, we talk about how we make the show, and this time, we're going to talk about a super fast long-arm wheelchair race.
If we remember to do it.
We're going to do it.
Write it down somewhere so we don't
Yeah,
forget.
you gotta write this down, man.
Don't let me forget. I've promised it now. Anyhow, on to the Would You Rather question. Chris,
Yes.
would you rather be caught in a human-sized spider web waiting on a giant spider, or stuck in a giant-sized mousetrap waiting on a giant rat?
Is the rat necessarily... I assume in both situations they're going to eat me, right?
Yeah, most likely.
I would definitely prefer the spider web because it avoids the whole trap thing snapping on me.
Ooh, that would suck, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a twofer. You get like the pain of the initial smash,
And then you're just stuck there while you're in pain.
and then the rat comes.
I have a counter argument.
It's a giant spider? Is that the counter argument?
Well, no. So all right. The one thing about mousetraps is that, at least the way they're designed, they're generally pretty much lethal, like, on impact.
Well, it depends on where it hits you, right?
That's
It
true.
says you're waiting on the giant rat, so the impact has not killed you, I think.
Okay, so in
this
that case,
scenario.
your spine is probably broken. You're probably paralyzed from the waist down, which sounds, not gonna lie, pretty bad.
Yeah, that sounds worse to me. Right now it seems pretty obvious, but I'm trying to think of if there are any counter arguments.
So I think the counter argument is giant spiders, sting their prey, and that dissolves them from the inside. The question is, do you feel that? Is there
I think you feel it.
anesthetics in the I'm dissolving your organs?
I'm gonna guess no. I don't know
Probably
why
not.
evolutionarily that would have happened.
So that's the thing. So the giant rat is gonna probably
Eat you
munch on you,
alive.
which, yeah, it's gonna munch on you. But, eating you alive is a strong thing, because I got those big front sharp shovel teeth. So I think you're gonna be dead pretty quick. It's gonna be a gruesome, 10 seconds, but I think you're gonna be dead pretty quick.
I don't know about that.
Counter argument. Spiders wait at their webs, and when something falls on them, immediately goes and deals with it. Whereas I don't know how long you'd be waiting in the mousetrap.
Oh, what if the spider wraps you up in the silk cocoon, and then you just slowly suffocate to death?
I think they usually inject you with the stuff as they're wrapping you up.
Oh, they do, don't they? You're not getting away with that one.
No. God, I think it's actually spider. Jesus, that seems...
Why in this scenario is the mouse... Why did the mouse set up the mousetrap?
The mouse is an opportunist.
I mean, the rat is an
Okay.
opportunist.
You're right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a rat.
A rodent of unusual size. It's a roo.
Anyway.
Is that how you spell roo? Like the cooking thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
You got there.
Just want to
I
confirm.
had to check with the cooking guy.
Yeah, let me check with the cooking guy who makes bread, which I don't think counts as cooking. That's baking.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, one, yes, it is baking, and two, I also cook lots of other things. You know this. Come on.
He cooks chicken parm.
I cook many things.
Yeah, you cook chicken parm on Valentine's Day because you're so good at cooking.
Hey, it's delicious.
Just saying.
I make more complicated. Okay, I don't have to defend my cooking here. Regardless, I'm going to share our friend's really bad Rue-related joke right now.
Please do.
I'm trying to remember it. Hold on. Shit. Wait.
Oh my god.
I know. I remember the punchline. I just don't remember the setup, which is bad because it's also bad. All of it's bad.
Do you need me to make some other bad Rue jokes to buy you time to remember your Rue joke?
Well, it's actually, I want to be perfectly clear. It's not my Rue joke. I don't want to.
I mean, I could do it, but it's gonna just
Get
be a
limp
very
in this one.
elaborate, and by elaborate I mean not elaborate ruse.
I'm pretty sure it's just something like I tried to.
If you cook it in Australia, is it a kangaroo?
God, I hate you. I'm pretty sure it's just something like I tried to sneakily make a gravy, but they saw through my ruse, or something. It's like that. It's not good.
You built it up too much.
I never said it was good. I did not intend to build this up whatsoever. It's a very bad joke. I tell him that every time he says
You
it.
built it up a lot.
Well,
I want to build a machine that makes roux for me. It's gonna be a what do they call them? A Rube Goldberg machine.
okay, that's not bad.
That's a pretty good one.
Actually, wait, it doesn't actually work because Rube Goldberg machines intentionally don't do anything. You know what? Let's just move on.
Yeah, because it's a roux.
No, this one does because it's not a Ruth Goldberg. It's a Rube Goldberg machine.
Anyway,
it takes a really roundabout way to make roux.
Is it Ruth Goldberg or is
no,
it
it's
Rube
Rube.
Goldberg?
It's Rube. R-U-B-E.
It's already roux.
No. Please let us leave this bit.
What is this weird tangent we've gone on?
What's worse, the giant spider or the giant rat? I say giant spider personally.
I say
wait, no, sorry, giant
which is
rat
worse?
personally.
Yeah, I choose to experience the giant spider.
Man, I just can't. I don't want to feel my organs dissolve. I think that's just. I can imagine, and not really imagine, but I can pretend I can imagine what getting crushed in rat jaws is like. The unknown of what it feels like to dissolve from the inside is turning me off
It's
the
like
spider. I'm
having
gonna go with giant rat.
It's like having a really bad stomach bug, but just in your entire body, which doesn't sound great, but it's also not being eaten alive by a giant rat.
I also don't think it's that tame.
I also still think you're going to be in more pain for longer with the mousetrap because of the initial trap thing.
You might be unconscious.
Yeah, it might not. Yeah, that's true.
It says you're waiting. You're not waiting when you're unconscious.
Okay, fair.
That is also true. And that's a deciding factor for me.
Okay, so you guys are both on spider. I'm on the giant rat.
Mm-hmm.
That brings the episode. That brings us to the end of the episode. And because I already did our good Patreon promoting, I don't need to do that again. So really, that's all I need to do. So please join us next week when we answer the following question: what if land and water swapped?